here as the guest of Christopher Marshall.
Hello.
Senior.
Hello, Grandma. Hi, Grandma.
Chris, thank you for inviting us. This has been my pleasure. And baseball season will come around again soon.
Grandpa's done with baseball. Yeah.
But that's all right.
Okay.
We'll excuse you.
Okay.
Just come out and root for the team.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions or shares?
Hi, I'm Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, Judy. I want to thank Leslie publicly. I have a beautiful transgender child who first got exposed to the theater when she was 7 years old through the Marin Shakespeare Company. She's 31 now and an artist. And I want to give a special thank out to Little Egypt.
Yes.
I so wanted my daughter to be here when you told your story. And my question really to any of those of you who are so inclined is, what was the spark that got you on this journey that you're on through theater now? What was the opening?
Well, Judy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so touched by your story. That's so amazing to me. It just inspired me all over again, first of all. But I mean, what took me on my journey was first just accepting myself and loving myself and not worrying about what anybody else said about me or what I was going to do. You know, a lot of times Shakespeare and acting and, you know, anything in the performing world has such a negative connotation on it. And once you drop that notion that people have on that, the societal, you know, downfall that they put on, you know, anybody that's doing Shakespeare, that you're not going to be successful, or you're queer, or you're this or you're that, then you can become confident in it, and then you can truly, you know, take the lead. And you have to just be comfortable in your skin. You have to, you know, truly know who you are and be comfortable and come on stage and just let it all go. Yeah. Anybody else? Answer the question.
One thing we did was we built a sense of community and most of all connection. Something that's lacking out there in the world where we too busy worried about what somebody is or what they doing. We divided by religion, we divided by race, nationality, sex, all that. So it's just show how we can turn this so-called negative situation into something positive and support each other and let you guys that's coming in know that we can be a part of the community. And that's what it's all about, just building connections.
And Judy, I just wanted to mention a video of this will be on the Marin Shakespeare website. So you can share that link with your daughter and anyone else.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to say, the thing that got me started was I watched a show with some men up here that I knew, and I was like, I want to try that. And when I came in and tried it, Soraya, Leslie, gave us a space to be able to explore. The thing about I love about doing drama is I can experience emotions, I can experience all these different things without being too vulnerable because they're somebody else's. If I'm acting in somebody else's play, if I'm doing something else, I can explore what I'm feeling and put it into that character. And it's a very safe place to do that. And eventually, I started enjoying the emotions I was feeling. I had spent so much time going through institutions and different things in life that I didn't trust my emotions because my emotions were explosive, and I didn't understand them in a way that I do now, and how to put them in a place and to wear them on my face. Because showing emotion for some of us was very dangerous how we grew up and where we were at. If I cried, I was teased. If I was angry, I was used to go at somebody. My emotions were the place to manipulate me, so I couldn't be vulnerable. When I sit in this group here with the men and the volunteers, what that does is I'm in a very good place to be able to be vulnerable, to say, I feel this, and then put it into a character and be able to show that. One of the things that really hit me the hardest was Roach made a play called Raised by the State. And I played this child that's going through sexual abuse. And I could really feel that without having to admit that I really feel it. And it was very much like a therapy like I've never had before, because I could sit there and tell this little kid that it wasn't their fault, that it wasn't supposed to happen to them, and they didn't have the strength or understanding to do that, therefore they are to blame and can live with freedom. I was able to do that for Roach, for myself, and hopefully for somebody else. And that's what I get out of this work. The reason why I got involved is because I've seen somebody else. The reason why I stay is because I can make a difference, not only in my life, because yes, it is for my life, but also I can help somebody get that poison out of them that's been making them drown for a long time.
Hey guys, I'm Giles.
Hi, Giles.
First of all, thank you so much. That was so great. It was very inspiring, the performances. So thank you. The question I had, I was wondering about was in one of the skits, there was a sense of Shakespeare and doing Shakespeare as a stigma in certain kinds of neighborhoods. And I wonder within the facility, do you get grief from other inmates for being part of this group, and how does that sit in terms of the prison as a whole?
Yeah, I can kind of sense like that's what our play. No, nobody makes fun of us here for doing Shakespeare. But the thing about it is, for me growing up where I grew up at, right? It's a lot of poverty there, and no one cares about Shakespeare. Like we wasn't in the neighborhood saying, "Hey, let's go watch Shakespeare. Let's go to a Shakespeare." Like wasn't nobody doing that. Like nobody that wasn't the focus, because it was so much negative and bad stuff that was happening. It was so many other things that we had to deal with, that we were up against, that Shakespeare was the farthest thing from our mind. So coming in, to this place where there's a lot of more stuff going on, and just like with Los Dini, what he was saying about he saw somebody get into the pro and he wanted to get in. That's the same thing, like seeing a lot of these guys that did their play, and I was like, oh my God, I want in. And I went in. I didn't even know who Soraya was. I said, hey lady, can I get into the program? And she was like, well, yeah, you have to try out and all this. So I've been in ever since, and I think that this could be very empowering for us, in the sense that we get to basically just be ourselves. You know what I mean? Through working through Shakespeare, and there's a lot of parallels. At least I can speak for me. And a lot of the roles that I get, it's like, this is me. It's kind of creepy, right? But it just speaks to the relevance of Shakespeare, and how even still today, that happened so long ago, that a lot of this work is still relevant, like right now. So we don't get any grief, we don't get any slack. It's a lot of people that get it. It's a lot of us new guys that are here, right, that enjoy doing this. Like, this is something that we really enjoy doing for no other reason, because we just love doing it. So that's what that is. That answered your question. Okay.
And this program's been here 15 years. It wasn't always like that. And it isn't like that when we go into new institutions sometimes. And it's partly because sometimes men are participating, men and women, but mostly men are participating in programs and changing and wanting to live their lives differently. And there are other people in their lives who don't want them to change. So sometimes there is some pushback on some of the arts. We've been here so long, Shakespeare's just about as cool as it gets.
Outside people.
No, I'm Mike. I'm not outside, but I wanted to ask all of you.
Oh, you're way outside, bro.
Hi, Roach. I see you guys do this in rehearsal. I've been in on Friday's class probably every chance I could. And today when I seen it, it came out, it was like really different, but it was new. It was great. But I want to ask you, and you kind of know why and my selfish motives behind asking it. From each of you, 2 or 3 words that you would like the audience to take away from what they got here. To take out there and share. Just 2 or 3 words from each. 2 or 3 words. 2 or 3 words. Oh!
self-reflection, and empowerment.
Love and unity. Compassion, indifference.
That was good. Self-realization, unification, and empowerment.
No, you don't get to do that.
Why did you do this, Brouch? It's your fault.
You got, come on, man. Don't use them cards, just break it off.
I guess 3 letters. G-O-D, God. Take God with you, and whatever the Spirit, whatever the Spirit tells you, go with that.
Absolutely amazing community.
Think positive thoughts. For me, allow my light to shine, not to let anybody dim it, because I never know who's following the light to direction.
I knew you could do it.
Another question? Yeah, another question, Leslie.
Acceptance.
Make society fair.
Honesty, openness, and truth.
Resonance, respect, and kismet.
Changed perspective.
No more judgments.
For you, Roach, change the world.
Change the world.
Vulnerability, listening, compassion. New world possibilities.
We are human.
I was just asked to make an announcement. I don't know if this is on. Markel, where are you? You were just here a minute ago. Congratulations. Just got approved to go home.
Okay, so that's literally the hard act to follow. But it's actually in sync with what I wanted to say to all of you. I'm really moved. Get a grip. I'm Ann Bound Crawford. I'm the Executive Director of the California Arts Council. So the very fact that we helped make this possible is tremendously moving to me. So thank you for that. I also wanted to say that when I go outside these walls, it's like crazy out there. I move through the world, we all do, with all these voices filled with hate and divisiveness. And then I'm here, and everything seems to be right because of the words that you have shared with us, because of these words. So I'm fairly recently out of teaching high school, and I'm going to take a picture of your words here, and I'm sending them back to the youth that I know, if that's okay. You have real power in your voice, and you have the potential to change not just what goes on here, but what goes on outside these walls. So as you step outside and go home, I know you're just going to bring all this out with you and mentor those young folks that are on their way here. Link arms with them and show them a different path. and I know we can. Thank you so much.
Don't be shy, don't be shy.
Outside people, we want to hear from them, always.
I'm Sarah.
Hey,
Oh man, I just love that. That was so good.
Hey, Sarah.
I mean, I just really love that. I felt the energy, and it was awesome to have the energy coming from the audience and being mixed together. That's what I'm here for, the whole experience. And I was just moved, and like somebody was saying, like to make us laugh and cry and everything else, think and reflect. I've done all of that. So it's really been an honor to be here. But my question is, like, I think it was Ray, one of you guys was talking about, I want to know about what the process is when you're doing when you're making up an improv or when the show's coming together. I just wanted to know, like, what's the process? Because some of you were talking about you get together in between on the yard or we meet weekly, and just want to hear about what it brings out in you. Do any of you do writing in between on your own, or how do you come up with the skits? I mean, that's a big question, but that's what I'm thinking about.
So I think we all can answer it. You know, as for me, like it just comes from my like personal life, you know, and usually when we get together, it's like before the show day, but like we make improv like right there. Like if something's funny, we was like, oh, we gotta use that, and then add it into one of our lines and stuff. And I think me and Banks and Kels, Shad, we all had that today. That's why you see a lot of improv in there. So, yeah.
Well, for me, I like to do more behind the camera stuff, like right. So I know there's power in what we're doing here, and we had power, but we didn't feel empowered on the street. So when I write, I try to write to illuminate a blind spot that I may have in my life, or that I see that others may have had in their life. And so I just try and make the world a better place.
Hi, Bam. How you doing, sir? When I write, like I said, it's about building connection. It's about letting people see that they're not alone out there in the world, because there's so many people that go through life thinking or assuming that can't nobody understand them, can't nobody feel their pain, or can't nobody relate to what they're going through. So to be able to write something that you know that's going to touch somebody in the audience, you did your job. Because me personally, I can speak for myself. My voice was stripped from me at an early age, so I didn't know how to express myself. I was detached from my feelings, so I didn't know how to feel. So I suppressed a lot of things, and I act out when I really want to be helped. So just allow myself to be free and help somebody else. I did my part.
Good job, Jason.
Thank you, Bam.
My name is Richie. I'm really grateful to be here, and I thank you for being here today. I'm glad we were able to share this with you. For me personally, in creating, I write my own music, I write books, right? But what it comes from is living life and coming to understand that, you know what, I don't have to act in the way that I did in my youth. I don't have to be that person. I can be somebody better. And hanging out with these cats right here lets me know I'm not the only one crazy in San Quentin. Oh, did I say that out loud? We learn to love each other by looking at each other for where we are, right? And trying to meet each other where we are. We don't always agree. We don't always get along. We don't always agree. We've had serious disagreements in this group, right? But as men who understand that we're moving in time together and through time, right? We have an opportunity to come to you, right, with what we feel, right, and connect. And for me personally, as a singer, when I look out and I see that I got you, I know that you got me. I know that you get me. And that's where it comes from. You know, and it's you. It's beautiful. And I thank you for that.
quick to answer that question. For me, it's a little bit deeper for me because my play is gonna be next week, right? And I'm doing a play next week based on the murder of my father, because my father was just murdered. Like he got murdered June 13th, like a couple months ago, and so he had the funeral and stuff like that, and the stuff, pain and grief that I went through, the pain and grief that my mother went through, and still going through, and just being able to hear the funeral process, to hear because I was over the collect calls, was able to hear the funeral at the time, and I was able to read a letter over the collect call system, and at the funeral. So I'm about to bring the funeral to my family here, and to the other guest that's coming next week, and so I'm able to just bring it up to life and bring it to life. And like as we was rehearsing it, man, it was like the people that I'm having doing the part, they was like, man, I don't even want to do it. You know what I mean? It's too. They didn't even want to do the physical part about it at that of the scene, and I felt them on that. You know what I mean? And just seeing the scene, I brought up so much rage and stuff, right? So just to make sure that I could bring things to life, man. And I know I do this all the time. I did a funeral last time with my grandmother. You know what I mean? So I do it all the time, and it's very, it's hard, but it's also therapeutic for me. And the process, like I said, is deeper for me because I try to bring that real life rawness that goes with my life, and it's deeper for a lot of other people, but for me, it just seems like it always just it hits stuff. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just.
We do also, I'll just add, offer structures to inspire writing to people who want it. This group we've been doing this process so long that what I find is most of you come in, here's what I want to do this year. But sometimes, we did actually do this in this group, and we have a Wednesday group as well. We'll invite our participants to explore themes from like King Lear, betrayal, truth, insanity, loyalty. What was a time in your life when you experienced betrayal? Can you write about it? Can you write about it with a beginning and a middle and an end? What was a challenge you went through with love? And so we do offer structures to invite ideas with writing, and some people do find that supports them, and not everybody needs that.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say this real fast. So I didn't give like the shout out that I really wanted to. So Banks, Chris back here, Reese, Drew, Nate back there. Nate. Those are the guys that I learned from when I first got into this program. So to Los Dinos, wherever he's at. They actually taught me how to, write, formulate, how to, put ideas and stuff, all that on paper. And a lot of it has to do with Ray was saying about how when we actually do our own stuff and when we do actual Shakespeare plays, like we are really out there having a blast. Like we're out there having so much fun doing these plays and everything. So that's how a lot of the creative stuff actually comes about. A lot of messing up, a lot of improv, and it just happens to come together for us. So that's the process for me, and I learned from all of these guys to really do this. Any more questions from outside guests?
I don't really have a question. Richie, I thought your voice was amazing.
Thank you so much.
And
it's only a gift when I give it away.
you can really see the passion. I'm so impressed by your courage, every single one of you. In today's world, there's just so much fear. And people don't have the courage to speak up. And just the way you're living your life and being out here, I just really respect and admire your courage. So thank you.
Love you.
Hi, my name's Amy.
Hi, Amy.
I was reluctant to ask a question or make a comment because I could just feel the tears welling up.
That's okay.
Thank you. I've been teaching high school for 21 years, most of those years social justice, and I read Jarvis Master's book, Finding Freedom, Writings from Death Row. I don't know if any of you guys know Jarvis. He's here at San Quentin. And I got really inspired to learn more about the prison system. And in my classes, I open the semester always with a unit on racism and sexism and homophobia. And then I teach a unit on mass incarceration and really the causes of what drives crime and criminality, and really looking at the foster care system and just all of it, and trauma. And I show a Sesame Street piece of the puppets talking about their relatives who are incarcerated, and we just come at it from a lot of different angles. And at the end of that unit, we have a ritual, and the students pray for incarcerated people, and they pray for law enforcement, and they pray for parents who are abusing their children, and they pray for everyone in the system. And I just want you to know that I'm just so moved and devoted much of my life to helping students, 17-year-olds, appreciate you as human beings, as you said, human beings. And there are a lot of, I hope, 20 years worth of 11th graders who, in my life, who have been able to open their hearts. Thank you.
Excuse me. Just to answer your question, I think one of the most driving forces of what brings people to prison is a lack of emotional intelligence. And so, we just had an academic conference here, first time in prison ever, right? Last week. And one of the things I want to point out is that if our schools are supposed to raise up the next generation of leaders in our country and citizens that are going to make America great, then shouldn't there be a class on emotional intelligence? Because you got doctors, lawyers, drug dealers, everybody's in prison for not having self-control. So I think that's one of the most easiest things to fix right now is just to put a K through 12 curriculum in there where emotional intelligence is taught. And you can't say babies don't understand emotional intelligence, because they do. So it's proven.
To piggyback off what he said, another thing out there in society need to understand is that you don't have to physically be in prison to be in prison. There's a lot of people out there in society that's in prison in their mind, and that plays a lot in the trauma that they experience throughout their lives. And there's so many kids out there that's being conditioned to believe that it's not cool to cry, tell or back down from nothing. So they're desensitized and stripped from our authentic selves. So we need to work on allowing the kids to be them and stop being so quick to say, because I said so, when they ask you, why you tell me not to do this, or why is this wrong? And making them have to learn the hard way. And then you sit there and make them out to be the bad guy because you didn't teach them what they have to go in the streets and learn, or learn through music or things of that nature. So a lot of people need to take heed to that. Just like the gang epidemic, a lot of people don't understand that you don't necessarily have to be from a gang to possess the mentality. So until we start knowing these things, that we're going to continue to have family members that's going to be a victim to this. So.
Question.
That's Chuck Brewer.
I got to say up here, I'm gonna say. Part of it too, though, I think, is as being a kid before, right? All of us was, I think, and then growing up in this area, we had a lot of programs, right? We had a lot of sports, arts. There's nothing out there for those kids, right? And so, us we have the benefit of being here in this institution and having these people and you guys come in to help us kind of like rehabilitate ourselves, whereas those youth out there, they don't have that, right? So all they have is the environment they're around. And I think like most people, you know, they try to fix like the person or the right, but without trying to fix the household or the environment around it. So you fix the person, but you're sitting right back to the environment or to the household. What happens, right? He get reinfested or she get reinfested, or kind of like some of the same madness. So having something or outlet for a lot of the youth, right, to go to where they can actually be themselves, they can be authentic, they can learn like what it is to like express themselves in their truth. It's like a big like combat to like crime or whatnot, right? You can change the laws, you can kill prisons, you can all that, right? But the problem is still like in the environment, in the neighborhood, and until we all of us, whether you're white, black, green, yellow, in prison, not in prison, we all have to contribute, right, to fixing what's in our environment. Until we can do that collectively, which means you all go back into society and take a piece of us with y'all and let them know, hey, these guys here are human. They're no longer the crimes that they committed. They have insight, they have wisdom, they have these things to where when we come home, you help bridge that gap between us and society. So now we have an outlet to where we can try to use what we have, the stuff that we learn to help reach and teach each individual. And it's not even all about the children a lot of time. It's the parents too, the grandparents, the lawmakers, right? So we have to infect them with change. That way change can continuously happen.
Another question over here? Great, so one or two more questions, about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna wrap.
Hi, my name is Arik Luck. And hi, everyone. This was, I will never be the same, so thank you. And for whatever it's worth, well, I represent Congregation Emmanuel, where I serve as cantor in San Francisco. Before that, I was a professionally, classically trained actor. I will never be the same. A damned if I do, damned if I don't is one of the most compelling moments of theater I've ever seen in my life. I will say that. It was all amazing. My question is actually, for those running the program, is there anything in place for people, the gentleman who's going to be released soon, is there anything in place for them to keep going with their art once they get out? And what is that, and how can we help with that?
Good question. Good question.
Well, you know, we started thinking the same thing a few years ago, so we've created our Return Citizens Theater Troupe. When you guys get out, Markel, if you're in the Bay Area, we pay formerly incarcerated actors to keep doing this work on the outside. We give public performances, and this year we are hoping to take that show to tour to youth correctional facilities.
All right.
Yeah, and we hope to. We also at Marin Shakespeare Company hire formerly incarcerated actors for our professional productions at the Forest Magazine there. The first time we did that 3 years ago, we hired a gentleman named Damian Brown to play Othello, and he won the Bay Area Theater Critics Circle Award for Best Actor in the Bay Area that year. And he's now a full-time artist in residence with Marin Shakespeare Company, but we want more of you in our professional productions.
We're coming.
Yeah, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
I know some of you from other things I've done here before and coming last spring, but I want you to know how much all of you helped inspire someone who started coming a couple of 3 years ago. His name is Malcolm. And Malcolm has been working very hard to get a law that has just been passed that has opened up around 200 different professions to former felons, not all, but to a lot of former felons, that you can now work in places when you get out that you could not before this year.
Thank
He
you.
was absolutely on fire. He was on fire after coming to these productions. And he spent time going to see his friends who were in the California legislature to get this done. So I want you to know you have had quite a number of impacts that you may not have known before.
Thank
Awesome. I saw some other hands up.
Sandy!
I know, and I just said to Eric, that's exactly why I don't stand up. So I'm a terrible public speaker, but I needed to say what I'm going to say. One of the things, I wake up every morning now for the last 2 years. I wake up, and the reason that I keep going professionally, and the reason I'm not just sitting at home and looking after my house and my kids and doing all the easy things that I could be doing at this point since I've retired from 2 different professions, is you guys. You really give me a reason to get up every morning and do something special to try and change the world. 2 years ago, when I had just retired from another job, I'm never going to be on another board as long as I live, especially not with crazy theater people. And Leslie says, "Can you come over and have a cup of coffee with me? I really would like to be on the board of Marin Shakespeare." And I had my whole speech prepared for how I was not doing that. Thank you so much, and I'm really grateful, and I'm honored, but not doing that. And then she mentioned social justice, and then she invited me to this 2 years ago. And I think I told you guys before, I sat in the parking lot and cried for 2 hours before I could go home and face the world. And every day since then, getting up and knowing that I'm part of Marin Shakespeare Company, and knowing that I am part of something that is so incredibly powerful and that changes so many lives. You guys, hundreds of others that Marin Shakespeare Company goes and works with, the kids, juveniles down in Stockton now, that Leslie and Damien go down and work with every Tuesday, but also the people on the outside who are changed, and it's incredible. And you give me purpose, and thank you. But I just want to pass a message on. Giles and I came with a group of 18-year-olds to a workshop. I ended up coming to 2 workshops with these kids. And every time I see any of them, you think 18-year-old kids from a sweet little school in Marin County, really, how's that going to work out? Each and every one of those kids has asked me to convey to you how every day from now on in their lives, they're going to remember the time that they came in, and that they have thought really hard about how they're going to make a difference in the world because of the time they spent together with you. They came up to me even at graduation and said, "Thank you, and please thank the men." So I'm passing on that thanks to you. I love you guys.
I think we can have one last share, and then we'll have to start to move.
All right, just right quick, you guys influence us too. Like, I want to thank all you guys for coming and supporting us, and also for the people out there like Tamar, Manasseh, and Chicago, who's feeding people that's going hungry every day out of their own pocket. People like Lieutenant Yolanda Williams in San Francisco PD. She's a whistleblower, so I mean, you guys also inspire us. So, you know.
Hi, my name is Mick.
Hey, Mick.
Thank you.
Hey, Nick. Hey, Mick.
That was absolutely awesome. Such vulnerability, such realness, such presence. Being an outside person, and somebody mentioned blind spots over there, given all the work that you've poured into doing your work, I want to know what blind spots you see in us. And I know this gentleman just so eloquently addressed some of that. But when you talk to us, when you interact with us, there are blind spots that I have that I don't see. And I'd love to hear the blind spots that you see real clearly from your perspective.
Well, that's not always easy.
So, first off, thank you, and I believe this is a sign from the universe. My name is Antoine Williams, and I see a lot of implicit biases. Unconsciously, we all take a position where we're put into a situation that we're unfamiliar with. And a lot of times, what I see from people that want to get involved, they want to get involved in a capacity that is merely just to help. But sometimes to help implies that we can't do it ourselves. And then I see there's a level where people want to support. And to me, support comes as let me know what you need, and if I can do it, I will. Very seldomly do I come across an audience member, do I come across volunteers, do I come across staff that want to be a person of service. That changes the dynamic of a relationship. That changes the dynamic of understanding my place and my value in this world. And if I want to ever serve, I have to realize that sometimes that's not about me doing what I feel you need. It's me doing what you need me to do. I'm in here today simply to be a man of service. I had nothing to do with this production. I helped Kels when he needed, I helped Reese, I helped Chris Marshall. If you just need me to do something, I'm just here to be a person of service. Because that changes the way people see me, the way people receive me, and a lot of times they see me as this. I'm a young African American, I've been incarcerated over a decade, I've just turned 30, I'm fully covered with tattoos, and it's like I have this disposition that can be off-putting sometimes. I don't always get the reception that's needed, but that doesn't mean that my value has changed, and people like Leslie, like Soraya, these volunteers that's been coming in for years, they have looked beyond that. They've seen beyond that. They've seen beyond what I present here and now, and they look towards my future. They look towards how else I can serve them outside. How can I be of service for you? I can't wait to help you. I can't wait to be a part of this. So just being mindful of the choice words that we use. Like, words are powerful. That is the greatest gift a divine power has given us. It's our voices. And not only have they been stripped away, we've been told that it doesn't matter, but then when we do use it, we use it ineffectively. And we use it to some ways as a hindrance. I don't need help. I don't need support. I need people that want to be of service. I need people that want to stand by me, that want to continue this fight that I'm on, that see the world as I do. That's what I need, and a lot of times that's what I see, sadly, in volunteers and people that come in. I don't see people that want to be of service. I see people that want to watch something and go home and say, oh yeah, it was amazing. But this fight continues regardless if you guys are here or not. This change is happening. You can be a part of it or you can watch it happen. And just recognize that with those implicit biases that we all carry to some degree is a major hindrance to what we are all standing in solidarity. Like, this is what we're standing against, is indifference. And by you just feeling like, oh, I'm just gonna go watch it and not get involved, thank you for witnessing me, but be of service to me and my castmates. Thank you.